Hola, mi gente. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. You haven't seen me in a while, per usual, but Mama is busy. I already see a lot of comments coming in on this subject, so I am happy that you guys are participating because, as I said in the preview, I will be reading your comments straight from the live, and if they're really, really good, I'm going to call you to task. All right, so today we are discussing Kwame Brown, Matt Barnes, aka Becky with the good hair, Stephen Jackson, and now Charlemagne the God. We're going to even talk about a little bit about Jamila Hill, because all those people I just mentioned have set the internet ablaze for the past couple days. And the subject today is Black on Black social media wars. Do they go too far? And are we to blame? Yes, we, the audience, the people that tune in, the people that give them the clicks, the people that are waiting for the responses from every person going back and forth. Are we to blame for this Black on Black social media war? So tonight's guest is going to be comedian Carlos Anthony out of Las Vegas. And I see him backstage, so let's bring him on in. Yeah. Comedian Carlos Anthony out of Las Vegas. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. What's happening? What's going on?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, shit.
Okay, I can hear you now. You good?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, we're in the game.
How you doing?
All is good. How about yourself?
I'm really, really good. I'm excited to be back. This story has gone from just, a little internet gossip. It's a blaze now. It's a blaze now. And I'm like, I think it's inevitable of what was going to happen with the way social media has been going lately. But I'm afraid that, this is reminiscent of the East Coast, West Coast wars of hip hop. And we all know how that turned out, right?
We do.
There are a couple of dead bodies and a couple of ended careers behind that. So I think that while we're being entertained, we have to be very careful, because these men have egos and they have real feelings, and feelings are being hurt. Now, I wanted you on tonight's show specifically because I saw the live that you did, your commentary on the issue. And I wanted to have you on to dissect a little bit about what you were saying. So can you brief us? And I love these comments, are freaking amazing. Carla, thank you for joining me. Carla has some really, really good comments going on. Carlos, can you please brief us on the video that you did earlier? And if you guys please don't know what I'm talking about, go to Comedian Carlos' page on Instagram, and you'll see his 8-minute rant regarding the issue between specifically Charlemagne and Kwame Brown, although Kwame Brown has been beefing with a lot of people, not just Charlemagne the God, but Charlemagne jumped in the mix, and I think it made it 10 times worse. It's no longer funny. It's no longer entertaining. It took a real bad turn. So Carlos, can you address some of what you did in the live?
So essentially, and you kind of hit the initial points of it. This thing started off, it was a joke. And I say a joke from the standpoint of Stephen Jackson and Becky with the good hair, aka Matt Barnes, decided to talk about Kwame Brown and his NBA career, and how much of a bust he was in the NBA. And Kwame Brown has been sitting quiet for the past 20 years. Nobody's heard from Kwame Brown. Nobody has really talked about Kwame Brown. So apparently Kwame Brown got whiff of this going on. So he responded to them. Charlemagne wasn't even in the picture at that particular point, per my understanding. So Charlemagne the God decided he was going to take an opportunity on the Breakfast Club to speak on Kwame Brown, because I believe they're from the same area of Charlotte, North Carolina, South Carolina, one of them. And in the midst of saying that, he brought up Kwame Brown's father and his two brothers and their legal issues that put them in prison or jail. I took offense to that, because this was not about Kwame Brown's family. This was about Kwame Brown's career in the NBA. Was he a bust? Do NBA players think he's a bust? Do analysts think he was a bust? That's what it was about. It was not about Kwame Brown's father or his two brothers. And what I believe Charlemagne did in that particular moment was take that moment to dig deep into a black man's history, to throw dirt on his family, and then try to call it, oh, I'm just looking out for this brother. Because the way he phrased that, and again, people can go see the video, the way he phrased it was, essentially, don't y'all mess with Kwame Brown, because see, his family did this. And he was trying to put Kwame Brown in that same box that his father and his brothers were, when by my understanding, Kwame Brown has not had any kind of legal issues like that whatsoever in his life. This man has played basketball and he goes home. If he has, it's been probably minor little stints that most people go through in their life, but it hasn't been anything to that magnitude. So to put him in a box where if y'all talk about him, y'all could potentially wind up dead, is a fucked up way to paint light on that man. So what Kwame Brown did was he did better than I think any other man in that situation would. When you start bringing my family into situations, then this shit can get really ugly, because now you've turned it from a basketball situation into a personal situation. And this shit could have gone completely south, but Kwame Brown didn't do that. You called this man essentially a thug on the cusp of killing people. And all he did was say, all right, now then let's talk about you. Let's talk about the facts and shit that you have been involved in, Charlemagne the God. And the fact is, Charlemagne the God was caught with a 15-year-old minor, taking her to a party, allowing her to drink, where she was raped. Now,
let me interject, because I want to go there. Mm-hmm. I want to go there because I think that's a completely separate issue. But just to be succinct, right? For anyone just tuning in, Kwame Brown was basically out the way, as we say, right? I'm gonna be out the way. I'm out the way. I'm not involved in it. So basically, Kwame Brown was out the way. Matt Barnes, aka Becky with the good hair, which I think is hilarious. That is what Kwame Brown is calling him. So Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson were on a podcast called All the Smoke, and they brought it to Kwame Brown. Basically, they sent for him, and he was out the way, and he came back with twice the smoke, and they weren't ready, because the videos I've seen, I'm not gonna lie, right? My caption was, does black on black social media wars go too far, and are we to blame? Because I was tuning in, I thought it was hilarious. A roast is hilarious. I am a fan of comedy. We all tune in to see roast, and that's how I thought it started at first. So Kwame Brown was out the way, they sent for him, he came with double the smoke, and now people not only backing out of it, but now we have the crabs who are trying to throw their name in the mix because it's hot right now on the internet. And one of the biggest crabs was Charlemagne the God, brought him up, I thought in the worst way, but I want to address that because I am as hardcore as they come. Anyone who knows me knows that. As I was watching Charlemagne the God talk about Kwame Brown's family, my heart was chipping. I was like, my smile turned into a poker face. I was like, what the fuck is he doing right now? What is this? Where are we going? Where is this headed? I mean, it was the most disgusting way for someone to bring up such trauma in someone's family. I was heartbroken for Kwame Brown because we don't know what Kwame Brown has done to deal with that trauma in his family, those crimes, right? We don't know how he dealt with it. We don't know how he put it away. So for Charlemagne the God to use his platform where he can reach millions and millions and millions of people and put Kwame Brown's family on that platform in the most heinous way and discuss those crimes down. I mean, I felt like I was reading the coroner's report. He's talking about the injuries to the woman, the victim of Kwame Brown's father. He's talking about the injuries to Kwame Brown's brother and his girlfriend at the time, like just really heinous, ugly information. And Charlemagne the God tried to mask it with, hey, I'm just looking out for him. Anybody can Google this. I thought it was a real low blow. I thought it was very personal, and I thought it went too far, right? But like Carla Summer says, what's too far for this person is not too far for that person. And I think that's the problem with social media, where it's like, now it's like, oh, there's no code, because, you know, what you may not find funny, two other people may find funny. But I just want to speak specifically, before we get into Charlemagne's crimes, I want to get specifically, because he was charged, let's be clear. But I want to specifically concentrate on Kwame Brown, because if he was a person that was, quote unquote, out the way, and they sent for him and he roasted them. Okay. I thought the roasts were great. I think Kwame Brown is absolutely hilarious. But I thought Charlemagne the God went too far. Like, we have to have a too far button. There has to be a too far button. I think with social media, it's gotten ridiculous. We could talk about people's babies now. We can make fun of people dying. Like, there's no code. And what are we turning into? Exactly. What are we turning into? So regarding Kwame Brown and specifically what Charlemagne the God did, and by the way, I want to talk about his apology because he has since apologized. But I want to get into what you wanted, what you addressed in your video, which was Kwame Brown clapped back with, okay, you want to talk about my family and their crimes. Let's talk about your crime, which was what exactly? What was the crime?
His father committed murder. He murdered a lady.
No, Charlemagne's crimes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. First, let me backtrack if you don't mind. I'm gonna go back to are things too far? Carla's comment that what's too far for some is not too far for others, and I agree with that to some degree. But we have to, like you just said, there has to be a chip in people's head of when you have gone beyond the line of roasting. And as a comic, we roast all the time. It's something that comics do. It's something that we do. But there's a personal line in roasting. And it's always typically your mama jokes. When your mama jokes start getting personal, then motherfuckers' whole demeanor starts to change. So it's the same in this aspect for me. Is that first of all, Charlemagne had nothing to do with this. He had absolutely nothing to do with this. And if he wants to say, hey, this is a homeboy from my hometown, I'm just looking out, he could have left it and leave that brother alone. Period. End of story. But when you started to bring that man's family into this, then it becomes personal. So you have to take on whatever comes with that, because now you have opened up a whole nother door that wasn't even open at this particular point. So I think there is a point. It has to be a point for people. I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that, because there was a time that we were doing that, hey, we ain't gonna go that far because I know how such and such is going to feel about it. Now the gates of hell are wide open, and people feel free to talk about and make fun of and make light of whatever. And even as a comic, I have the chip in my brain that I'm like, I know if some shit is going to really trigger somebody. So I'm going to pull back on this one. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. But there are comics that go beyond that line, and that's just not me. And I just took offense to that. Now, as far as Charlemagne,
let me interject really quickly. You said that, devil's advocate here, since you said that the floodgates of hell are open now, right? So let's deal with the devil's advocate. Charlemagne the God, I'm for free speech, right? That's turned into trigger words now, free speech. But he's in the media. He has to broadcast the news. He has to talk about celebrity gossip. That is his job. That's what he does. Wendy Williams does it. What's his name? The big white guy with the big nose, the ugly guy. Howard Stern does it. Bill Maher does it. Chappelle speaks on current events. So let's deal with what's too far, right? It's like your mama jokes you mentioned. Can I say your mama's a crackhead? That's why, but not if she's really a crackhead. Like, what is too far? What is the code? How do we decipher what's too far? I think I love Chappelle. Okay, one of my favorite comedians. But I think making fun of pedophilia is a too far for me. I think it's a too far for me. But he turned it into a joke and made it funny. And some people were all the way on the left and saying, that was absolutely absurd and disgusting and despicable. And some people were like, oh, you should be able to laugh at whatever. So what's the code? What's too far? How can we cookie cut it for everyone? Is there a middle ground? And is it realistic?
I don't, and that's the question. I don't know if we're at a point where we're going to have that answer in our lifetime, because I think when things start to become personal, if I know you and I bring up something in a conversation that's outside of a conversation with you, that is personal to you. Now that obviously those things are probably public record, I'm sure. Anybody that wanted to find that information, they probably could. But Charlemagne the God was in a position of reporting the news or gossip. That was not part of this story. They were talking basketball. That's it. Now, if he would have said Kwame Brown scored 1 point, Kobe Bryant scored 62 in the LA Lakers game back in there, and that you roast him all day on that. That should happen. Mm-hmm. That should happen. When you bring his father and his brothers in there, and you claim to be from that area, that means that have personal information about him. Now, to me, in that particular perspective, he has overstepped the lines and brought something into a situation that had no business being there. So as far as going back to the question of what's too far and what's not, I think everybody's going to have a gauge as to what is that for them. For me, this was too far. Dave Chappelle's jokes are not too far, but I've heard him say it tote that line to that. But he's also a seasoned, professional, iconic comic. That is his job. His job is to take the most difficult situations in life and make light of them so that people see them from a different perspective. So that is his job. That is not Charlemagne's job. Charlemagne's job is to report gossip. That's it. So I took issue with that. I took personal issue with that, especially when you have dirt that we'll get into in a minute that goes beyond what Kwame Brown has done in his life, because Kwame Brown is not his father. He is not his two brothers. He is not you. He is not me. Kwame Brown has stood on his own 2 feet. And by all accounts, regarding basketball, Kwame Brown held his own. He was not the star that everybody thought he was going to be, but he spent 12 years by somebody's account in the NBA. That's a successful career by all accounts. And as from a personal perspective, unless somebody can point in the comments for me, I have not heard of anything that Kwame Brown has done legal legal action against him in any way. That dude has been quiet since he left the NBA until now. And then they knocked on the door and the motherfucker answered.
Now here's my thing, because now every time there's conflict online with celebrities or whoever, sometimes the chick that, teaches 3rd grade and called somebody a nigger at in Walmart. We're cancel culture is big now, right? I'm an advocate for cancel culture, but I'm also an advocate for, if you come at me, with a hammer and I pull out a bazooka and blow your head off, then you can't say I went too far, right? I don't think that you can injure someone. And this is a pet peeve, right? For a lot of people, not just me. I don't think that you can injure someone and then get mad at how they come back at you, right? If you just pluck somebody and they're the type of person that doesn't like to get plugged and they want to punch, a hole through your mouth, you can't say, I only plucked you. That's the problem I think we're having today. I think that Charlemagne the God completely went below the belt. I agree with you. He wasn't, Carla said something great. That was not news. That was doxing and speculating. It was reminder to the people what Charlemagne the God, telling Kwame's family secrets, and that he is an alleged sex offender. Right. So to me, that was, I agree with you and I agree with Carla. It wasn't just, here's the gossip. You went into this man's history. And I don't know how long ago it was, that his father committed that crime or his brother committed that crime, but it was his history. And again, I agree with you. It had nothing to do with him. It's just like if I'm getting into it with somebody, and you know my father's history. If I'm getting into it with somebody and we're roasting each other about acting, and they come out with, that's why your father X, Y, and Z. Whoa, the gloves are off now. So when I talk about, your mother or your dead grandmother and her box in a grave, you can't get mad at me. And Charlemagne the God did exactly that. Okay, he did exactly that. After he berated Kwame Brown on his platform in front of millions and millions of people, threw Kwame Brown's family into it, Kwame Brown clapped back with his crimes, not Charlemagne the God's father's crimes or his mother's crimes, but his crimes, taking a 15-year-old to a party who the girl's mother entrusted him with. Okay, the girl's mother had a conversation with Charlemagne. Charlemagne assured that her daughter would be okay, she ended up drugged, drunk, and raped. Okay, so Kwame Brown brought that up. Fair is fair, in my opinion. Fair is fair. But what Charlemagne the God did was send a cease and desist letter to Kwame Brown. That to me is some ass shit. It's some sucker ass shit. It's some bitch ass shit, because you threw the first blows. You did. You do that. We're bringing up crimes, and that's how everyone argues. I think I'm very vindictive when someone comes at me. I'm not the only one. A lot of people are like that. You come at me with something, I'm gonna come with something bigger. But I think that's a natural reaction. It is a natural reaction. It is human. It is human, right? So now people are like, oh, this one should be the bigger person. This one should be the bigger person. No, you're not always going to be the bigger person. We are all human. We all have emotions, and we don't know. Again, let me stress. Okay, the crimes that Charlemagne the God brought up about Kwame Brown's family were horrific. We don't know how Kwame Brown has been coping with those crimes. We don't know how Kwame Brown has been coping with dealing with his family. We do not know. I give him credit because all he's doing is roasting people. He hasn't threatened anyone's life. If anything, they've threatened him. Stephen Jackson said, pull up. I'm in Atlanta, pull up.
He said he wanted to box. And the only thing that I've heard Kwame Brown say, he did offer Stephen A. Smith to go to Washington and box or have combat because it's legal there, which I thought again was fun. I thought he was just being funny. He don't mean he's going to Washington and wait on Stephen A. Smith to come there so they can have combat. It was roasted. But Matt Barnes, aka Becky with the good hair, did say, "I'm coming to Atlanta. We can box this thing out if we have to, and then get back to regular life." So he did offer to box. So that's about as violent as it actually got.
Right, and you know, I find it interesting because, and people gonna get mad at this, and y'all can get mad, but I find it interesting that wasn't Stephen Jackson close to George Floyd and the whole Black Lives Matter and this and that. So it's like, again, and people hate when I ask this question, but I'm gonna ask it again. When do Black Lives matter? When do Black Lives matter? When there's another race of folks berating them, killing them, handling them, oppressing them? Because you would think someone that was so close to George Floyd would be like, nah, I'm not going to do this with you, brother. I'm not doing this with you, brother. I'm not even going to allow this to go on. So I find it interesting. I find it interesting. So Black Lives Matter when? Right?
Well, I think that goes to the heart of your topic.
Stephen Jackson became the poster boy, you know what I mean? For being George Floyd's damn near twin is what they were calling him. So I'm like, why would you go at another Black man like that? For entertainment. I mean, they even invited him, Matt Barnes and Stephen Jackson, whatever, they invited Kwame Brown to the show for ratings, of course.
I was going to say that. It was for ratings. Because Kwame Brown asked, I believe, and somebody can, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Kwame Brown had initially asked them, say, you want to talk to me, then bring me on the show. But they didn't want to do that. They kept yapping on social media. So he was like, all right, well, y'all keep yapping on social media. I'm going to keep yapping on social media. And then when Matt Barnes offered him to come on the show, he's like, fuck y'all. I'm not going to come on your show and give you the ratings that you need right now because of me. No. So I kudos to Kwame Brown for, I think he is taking a bit of the high road in this thing because he's not giving them what they want. And so when they don't get what they want, then they backtrack and say, well, we didn't really mean it like that. Come on, brother, man. Come on, bro. Don't be like that. Don't do us like that. No, you threw the rocks, not the rock. You threw the rocks. So you can't get mad when that dude goes and gets the wheelbarrow rocks and just starts throwing the shit at full throttle at you. You got to take it.
That man was out the way. I can't stress that man was out the way, and that's what bothers me. And I'm still like, I'm not even him, and I'm hurt by what Charlemagne did. So I can't even imagine what he's going through, right? And going back to Charlemagne, and now everyone's involved. Like I said, Jamila Hill is involved. She said that Kwame Brown chose to be violent, you know, for that week, which I thought was absolutely fucking ridiculous. If you are going to speak up for these men, you should say all of y'all need to calm the fuck down. Okay. If I had the platform, all of y'all need to calm the fuck down. Like, cut it out. Either go on each other's shows and give each other ratings, but cut this shit out. Why would she zero in on Kwame Brown and not the people that are attacking him? I think that's bullshit, right? She actually left a comment because Kwame Brown was starting to go in on her. And then she left a comment like, oh, I don't want none of this smoke. I don't want none of these problems. But then Kwame Brown was like, you said that I was violent. I have kids. You got to watch how you talk about me. And I'm sure Kwame Brown is very sensitive about being violent or being looked at as violent because of his family history. But then Jamila Hill, you know, she backpedaled like, oh, I don't want none of these problems. You tell all of them to chill, or don't speak to anyone at all. That's how I feel. Tell all of them to chill, but don't do that. Don't do that shit. That to me was whack. She has a platform. You have the ability to say all of y'all need to chill the fuck out. But don't make that man look like he's crazy. And that's one of my pet peeves, when someone is constantly being attacked and then they come out swinging, they're the crazy ones now. That's gaslighting. That is the definition of gaslighting. You push this man in a corner. Now he's taking heads off. Now he's the one that's being violent. Now fuck that.
But here's the issue with that you're pointing out with Jamila Hill is that, again, it's almost like the Mean Girls Club. Is that everybody on that side of the game, it's more of them than it is of you.
The popular ones, the popular table.
I'm going to join the ones, whereas the majority is over here talking about you. And like you said, just like Jamila had an opportunity, Stephen A. Smith had an opportunity, Charlemagne had an opportunity, because they were not, these three people specifically were not directly involved with any of this shit that was going on with Stephen Jackson and Becky with the good hair, aka Matt Barnes. So none of this had them involved, but because they're in the industry, and we know they have to talk about it, they could have spoken about this as, like you just said, hey, you guys, y'all chill out, man. This ain't Kwame Brown wasn't a bust. Unless you think he was a bust, that's on you, but he wasn't a bust, leave it at that. But when it started getting personal, and now Kwame Brown starts to respond, as you just said. Now he's the bad guy. So let me jump on the majority and tell him you got to back off. No, that man don't.
No.
In fact, and I think, as a matter of fact, I believe Kwame Brown. I think I just said this earlier. I believe he's actually handling it the best because of his history, of his family history. He could have gone in a completely different direction. This dude is sitting at home on a tractor in his truck, riding down the street, just talking. That's it. Making fun of people. That's it. And he going on home about his business until somebody says something else about him. Huh?
Why he got to be in a tractor?
He was on a tractor. The last time he was literally on a tractor, and he said that he heard Charlemagne's apology, and he would be right back. I'm sure he went and hopped on his YouTube, but I got to catch up on that next. So he was literally on a tractor. The man is chilling.
Let's. Max Law says Zaddy got Charlemagne the God on skates. The loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one in the room.
Said that many times.
Cedric Kelly said Charlemagne was trying to take up for his partners with all of the smoke podcasts. Boom. Right. So it goes back to what you said. Like, the popular table was looking out for everyone at the popular table. Now, fuck y'all.
Right. Kwame, I applaud him in his ability to just remain in the moment and address whatever comes at him specifically to that person. He hasn't taken one thing and talked about somebody else. He hasn't redirected. He's answered what they have thrown at him and given information back about that person in whatever form that it came, whether it was basketball or whether it was personal, and just responded. And then he goes back and gets on his tractor.
I would even encourage anybody who's watching. Like, go to Kwame Brown's page, give that man some support. Straight up, because them other clowns, Charlemagne the God, Matt Barnes, the Black Lives Matter, sometimes all them people, like, they don't need the support. I think Kwame Brown needs the support. I think he's been through horrible, horrific, traumatic experiences within his family. I know what that's like. So I would encourage people to go to that man's page and show him support. If you are going to be nosy, because it's like these celebrity wars are like the car crashes. We can't look away, but then it's like, what the fuck? Like they're horrible, but what the fuck? So we can't look away. I would encourage people to show that man some support. I think it was horrible what Charlemagne the God did. So speaking on Charlemagne the God, now more people are like, wait, what about you? Right? So now they're bringing up Funk Flex really went in as he normally does. He went in on Charlemagne the God's crimes and the 15-year-old girl, and now the woman is speaking out. Hopefully, the 15-year-old girl who's now a woman will speak out as well. I would love for her to speak out. I think that you made a great point of how you think Charlemagne beat those charges. Can you talk about that?
Of course, like you said, he was charged with rape, enough for them to test him with a rape kit or test her with a rape kit for his semen. So that means that there was enough information to a police department, wherever that was, for them to at least complete that test to see if he had violated that woman. So now we get to how Charlemagne got off. I said it is my assumption that Charlemagne has enough money to pay great lawyers to get him out of that, to where he was only found guilty of delinquency of a minor. So essentially what Charlemagne did, and you brought this up earlier, was he took a 15-year-old with his mother's permission to a party. He told her she was going to be fine, she would be okay. So to me, that puts that young lady or that girl in his care, custody, and control, that he is responsible for her at that party. At that party, she gets to drinking, and unfortunately, we know what happened now. She was raped. It does not say if Charlemagne was there or not, but clearly he was there, because he got alleged to have been in the situation enough that they had to test him. So now he got off for delinquency of a minor. He walks scot free, and everybody else, I believe, got the brunt of it. So it's my assumption that because he had the more money, that he got out the situation. Does that mean that Charlemagne should not be looked at from a moral position right now? Because I don't think he can go back and be retried for that situation, although they should look at that. And like you said, I hope that young lady speaks up. But from a moral position now, everybody listening to this live and beyond in this world should really be looking at Charlemagne with a side eye. One, why are you with a 15-year-old going to a party? Why are you hanging out with a 15-year-old at all? I mean, that's the first question. That's a red flag in itself. Secondly, she gets to drinking and you are in her care, custody, and control. Or she's in your care, custody, and control. And you don't monitor that. You don't do anything.
I mean, if you without the facts, if someone were to just tell you that story, it sounds like a setup. It sounds like he took her to the party, because if someone trusts you with their child and then she ends up getting raped or harmed at that party by your friends at that party, it sounds like he took her there for that. It's a horrible case, but like you said, money rules in court. Let's keep it 100, right? My daddy always told me the person with the best lawyer and the liar wins. So apparently that's what happened with Charlemagne. And I think, all the chickens come home to roost. And I think it's good that this is coming back up. I'm not a fan of the Breakfast Club as it is. I think those people are old and tired, and I don't mean age. I mean, they're just old and tired. I would like to see the Breakfast Club have new hosts, bring in some fresh blood. Angela Yee, Charlemagne the God, and DJ Envy, sorry, they're boring, they're lame, they're not very intelligent, they're not intellectual, they don't add much to conversations. When they do have an intellectual on the panel, they all ask stupid questions. That's just my assessment of the Breakfast Club. So I don't tune in until there's something very controversial that happens, which is why I think Charlemagne the God does what he does on that show, because otherwise people are not tuning in. Right? They're not going to tune in. But I think his shock jock ways went too far here. I love what David Dillon said. He said the popular table all took L's. And I agree. They all took L's from the underdog, the quote unquote, what they call him, a buster, bust, whatever.
Yeah.
They took L's.
Carla made a good, well, she clarified. It says that Charlemagne the God, he took a plea deal because the mother didn't want her daughter to have to deal with the media and the fallout of the trial. They said she was uncooperative, but it was her mother's decision. And that happens all the time. I heard that, correct. That happens all the time because, again, we're talking about money here. I'm sure that they would pay something. I know that is an assumption, but those deals usually come with somebody getting paid somewhere in order to just be quiet. But it does not change the facts of what happened. And we have to really thoroughly look at what happened in that moment. He took the 15-year-old, and now you brought up even a better point, was what did you take her there for?
Right.
At any point in my adult life, I have never took a 15-year-old boy or girl to a party where the majority of my adults with liquor and weed and whatever else going on, and just be like, you chill out, you go over there, because that's not the way it works. There's a purpose for them to go. So I that's a good point, that I believe he probably took her there because he's always talked about, he has talked about doing the Bill Cosby and putting shit in people's drinks. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Max Law says money got him to plead down.
I'm telling you, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. Charlemagne, but that does not mean that Charlemagne should not be held accountable. And I'm not a fan of cancel culture, but I do believe the Breakfast Club needs new blood. I think it needs to change. Charlemagne needs to be held accountable, even in the moral court, about the people, which I believe it's starting to snowball downhill now, and people are starting to really take a hard look at what that situation really was at that particular time. And I hope to hell that he catches hell for it from now on until we don't see that dude no more for a while. Does that mean Charlemagne shouldn't make money? This was a conversation offline about should people not make money? But no, you can make money however you want, but you shouldn't be making money that way. And that in that particular way, when you are doing the shit that you just did to Kwame, and then you also have dirt that you have going on or had going on at that particular to that level. This ain't a drug charge where you got caught with some weed. This is a 15-year-old minor child that you took you took to a party which resulted in her being raped. You got to be held accountable for that.
So do you think that he should be canceled because of what he said about Kwame Brown's family, or because of what happened with the 15-year-old?
The 15-year-old. You can't. What he said about Kwame Brown's family is an unfortunate, stupid ass comment that he did, again, which goes back to the black on black. Are we our worst enemy, essentially, when we try to pull each other down, because that was try to pull Kwame down move. So no, I don't think he should be canceled for that. He should get reprimanded. I mean, they should say something to him about it. But he did that in that fake ass apology. But as far as what he should be counseled for, yes, that 15-year-old minor stuff, if it caused her rape, that is a cancelable. Was that a word? You should be able to get canceled.
I like it. I like cancelable.
You should be canceled. You should be able to get counseled for shit like that. That is way beyond the scope of us having to look at your face every day and know that you're a fucking pedophile.
Clifton 212 says, when did this happen? I'm not sure of the exact date. Someone maybe can comment how long ago Charlemagne.
2010. 2010. I think it was 2010.
That's not that long ago, honey.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, that's not that long ago. All right. So it was 2010. Yes, I think that, going back to the subject of this episode. So let's move on to Charlemagne's apology, right? It was very long-winded. I thought it was bullshit. You know what I mean? Once I'm sure he got that phone call, this is getting out of control. The rape thing is coming back up. You need to go on there and get the people back in, right? It's all politics. It's all business. Never personal. It's all business. I'm sure the big wigs, the suits, gave him the call and was like, check this out, Leonard. We need you. Damage control, damage control. So another thing I want to address is, so he quickly threw the Bishop T.D. Jakes on there because he knows Black people are big on Jesus and forgiveness and God, right? So he threw Bishop T.D. Jakes on his Instagram, because that gets the people back in. If it's about Jesus and forgiveness, we're here for it. Yes, Lord. So that was, in my opinion, a political move, a business move on Charlemagne's part. And then he posted his apology. His long-winded apology. I thought the apology was full of shit. With that said, I think people should be allowed to apologize. None of us are perfect, but the problem with that saying is none of us are perfect. We think that saying means that we can be complete and utter fuck ups, and it doesn't. right? It doesn't. None of us are perfect means that sometimes we're going to misspeak. Sometimes there's going to be a misstep. Sometimes we're going to do and say things that aren't very nice to people. Sometimes we're going to hurt the people we love. But that's not what I think that Charlemagne did. I think Charlemagne was malicious. I think he had malintent. I think he purposely wanted to throw Kwame under the bus because Charlemagne the God is very condescending. He's the type of person that, he's trying to stab you in the back and all the while saying, this is just conversation. You can Google it. I thought it was a very, very low blow. So I think the apology to me was full of shit. I think it was damage control. I think he got that call from the suits. You know what I mean? And he did what he had to do. I think, he was like, oh, I should have been looking out for my brother and just said X, Y, and Z. The research that he did, again, I felt like I was listening to the coroner's report. The research that he did on Kwame Brown's family, okay, was extensive. Okay, he's talking about who got buried and who got hit and who got shot and who not. He sat up and was like, let me get this information so I have something on this dude tomorrow. So I didn't fall for the apology. I don't believe in the apology. I think people should be allowed to apologize. I don't think the apology was sincere. It's damage control. It's business. So I'd love to hear what Kwame Brown's responses, because last I saw Kwame Brown on his Instagram, he said, I'm going to address that apology. And he did not look like it was going to be anything nice. What did you think about the apology?
Well, yeah, he did say that's when he was on the track. He said he was going to go and address it. But here's the issue with, and this is just an extra. I had to go find it because I was like, I posted this on my page. The thing that stood out to me, and it was just an excerpt of his apology. He says, in an attempt to defend a Charleston, South Carolina brother. Let me stop right there. I don't know what part of what you said, Charlemagne, in that minute and a half statement that you initially made about Kwame and his family was an attempt to defend him. That is not what that moment was. I revealed too much information about that man's family. You think? Do you really think? And then he says, and I unintentionally triggered trauma. Let me tell you something about what's an unintentional and what is intentional. When you go and you research someone's family or specific information so that you can put that information out, that is an intentional act. He went and called his dad. He said, I called my dad. He didn't answer. I wonder why his dad didn't answer. He was like, I don't want no parts of this bullshit that you about to get into. I ain't answering this. So you went and then you told people to Google it. There was nothing unintentional about that moment. You was very deliberate in the way that you went to, and you are professional. Whether you like Charlemagne the God or not, this dude is a professional radio host who has a history of trying to get information on people. And part of that is going to research. It just so happens that they happen to be from the same state. So he had information because he went to school with a sister. He brought that up. So now he felt it was his purpose to mention that information. So therefore, it was nothing unintentional about it, which makes that fucking apology even more stupid to me. Because all he had to do at the very onset, if he was really looking out for his brother, was simply say, leave that man alone.
So I think unintentional would be, first of all, Kwame Brown didn't come for Charlemagne the God. It was the other way around. So I think what would have been unintentional is somebody's coming at you, and then you're like, oh, you want a rose? That's why your daddy killed somebody. And then it's like, whoa. And then everybody's like, ooh. And then there's that weird feeling in the room, and it's like, oh, maybe I went too far. But like you said, he did the research. He did the research of the actual crimes. I want to address something Wade Brown is saying because I disagree. Okay, first he said he was 23. He wasn't rich when he beat the case. Most likely the rape kit was never tested and the mother didn't let her go to trial. We did address that. The mother didn't let her go to trial. But at 23, everybody knew who Charlemagne the God is. Remember, he started on Wendy Williams. We knew who Charlemagne the God was 10 years ago. We knew who he was. Okay, also, Wade Brown says he knows them personally. He went to school with his sisters. Charlemagne the God said he doesn't know if he's ever met Kwame Brown out of his own mouth. He said, I don't know if I ever met him, but then he said, I went to school with his sister. So he doesn't know them personally. And if he knows them personally, it makes it 10 times worse that he would throw that family under the bus. 10 times worse. So it was even more horrific when he said, I went to school with his sister. 10 times worse.
Yeah, that's an unexcusable reason.
Okay, we have a correction. Fair and Balanced said the alleged incident occurred in 2001, not 2010.
Okay.
2001, not 2010.
I don't care if it was 1987 or 1901. It was a situation that calls for our attention, because Charlemagne the God, and I have to keep repeating this so that whoever is listening to this will understand, and hopefully it will sink into someone's head. He took a 15-year-old female minor to a party and allowed her to get drunk enough that his friends allegedly raped her. But he was there. So I need that to sink into people's heads. So it doesn't matter. And thank you for correcting the time frame. But
thank you very much.
Again, to me, and everybody else has to be a judge for themselves. To me, that time frame doesn't matter, because he walked away from it and acted like nothing ever happened. And here he is today making millions of dollars based off of that reputation.
And also we have to, you know what I mean? A lot of people, I want to touch on this quickly. A lot of people make fun of the Me Too movement, right? They're like, oh, it's an exaggeration of how women are treated, this, that, and the third. But I think when we look at something, a case like Charlemagne the God, right? A lot of these guys are being canceled for things they've done years and years and years prior to their fame, right? So Charlemagne the God is another example of why the Me Too movement is needed. I don't think there should be a statute of limitations on rape or any type of sexual assault, but there is. That's the country we live in, because our forefathers were a bunch of rapists themselves, so they don't think rape is a big deal. Okay, let me put that out there. Mm-hmm. So a lot of rapists are benefiting from the forefathers' laws, right? Including those that are Black, Latin, Asian, you know what I mean? It's not just white people who rape, but a lot of people under that law are getting away with rape, or getting away with participating in rape, or getting away with setting up a rape. In my opinion, Charlemagne the God set up a rape. You know what I mean? Why didn't he stop it if that child was under his care? Right? So, now we look at the Me Too movement, and it was supposed to be a big deal, but we're still letting men slide. And we're still seeing how men like Charlemagne the God is protected and defended by a lot of people in his circle, only because he has fame and fortune. That's the same exact reason Harvey Weinstein skated for so long. It's the same reason Woody Allen skated for so long. It's the same reason R. Kelly skated for so long. So we have to look at why the Me Too movement was necessary, because these men are still skating. They are still skating. So the Me Too movement is very necessary, and hopefully they'll bring more attention to this case, because I think it's necessary. I don't think that Charlemagne the God should be able to be on a radio show berating people and using Black culture and using Black people, you know what I mean, and throwing Black people onto the bus every single day, and then getting away with what he allegedly did or allowed to happen. At the end of the day, that child was in your care and entrusted to you, point blank, period.
And I don't. There's a question. He said he was 23 in 2001. I was trying to Google real quick. How old is Charlemagne? I don't know whether he was 23, 21. I think it's a fact that he was not a minor as well.
He's an adult. 23-year-old.
He's an adult when he took that 15-year-old minor to a party. So by all accounts, in my opinion, he should have been held accountable beyond the delinquency of a minor, which to me is a complete slap on the wrist. People get delinquency of a minor buying liquor for kids at the 7-Eleven. If the police catch them, that's a delinquency of a minor. You're contributing to the delinquency of a minor. When you are contributed to a rape, that should have been a whole different set of rules. But people talking about he wasn't rich into it. He had it, to me, and again, it is an assumption. He had enough money and enough legal power that got him to plead down to delinquency of a minor, and that should not be overlooked.
I mean, the fact that he's a Black man and got away with it shows you there had to be some sort of leeway, some sort of bias.
They don't give a damn about us.
Sad as that is to say, there had to be something going on in his favor, why he got away with that. But we all know if this young girl was Black, that's a whole other subject. You know what I mean? Because if she was a Becky, right, or a it would have been a whole different outcome. But we all know, which is a whole different show, that Black women, brown women, they don't get the, they don't get the justice that white women do in a courtroom. It's like, who got raped? Shaniqua? Yeah, okay. Who did it? Next case. And unfortunately, that's how we're treated. And again, people of color benefit from the laws of our disgusting, despicable forefathers. Right? So it's like we can talk systemic oppression all the time, but it gets people like Charlemagne the God off. You know what I'm saying? So that, again, that's a whole other subject. But it's like, should he be canceled today for something he did at 23? Like, what does that cancellation look like? I honestly think way before this happened, the Breakfast Club DJs are whack. They're just corny, in my opinion. They don't add anything to the show, so I would switch them out. You know what I mean? Make it exciting. But do you think he should be gone? And so are we going to cancel his books? Are we going to cancel? I mean, what are we going to do?
Clifton said he should at least be suspended. I mean, there's there has to be some type of consequence that's significant. This has to hurt. It has to hurt. As much as he pained that 15-year-old minor, it has to hurt enough for him to have gotten the message. Because here's the thing: I don't believe in one-time rapists or racists. I don't believe in one-time rapists. I don't believe in rape apologists. I don't believe in people who allowed someone to be raped and they just stood around. That's not a first time and a last time. That shit just kind of happens over and over and over again until people get caught. So I wouldn't be surprised if this drums up, since the snowball is starting to run downhill, if more women then come out and start saying, hey, by the way, Charlemagne actually did something to me too. I wouldn't be shocked if it went, because I don't think this was the first or last time.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Clifton. I agree with Carla. He was a grown ass man.
Period.
He was a grown ass man. Period.
There's nothing else to say about that.
Max Law said that was a corporate generated apology by the powers that be to keep Charlemagne the God on the air. I agree with that 100%. That's how the apology sounded. That's why he was reading it off his computer.
Yeah.
Kwame Brown says he lost his HBO deal the last time this came up.
He should lose. At any rate, the Breakfast Club, like you said earlier, is tired and old. It's time for fresh faces. There's enough new talent out here. There's enough talent, period, out here that they could bring in someone or three other people to give that a makeover, a renovation of the Breakfast Club. Let them people go and do whatever it is they want to do now that they can do and move on. But Charlemagne has to pay the price for this incident. And thanks to Kwame Brown for bringing light back on it. Even when he wasn't even in the mix, and that's what's going to me. That's going to be sweet irony if this happens the way I hope that it happens. I think that would be such sweet irony because Charlemagne wasn't even in the discussion of this. He had nothing to do with it whatsoever. He threw himself in the mix. Kwame Brown fired back with this. Now it's snowballing downhill. Now Charlemagne wants out. No, player, don't stand there and let the snowball hit your ass, and let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown up Joel Osteen too. He threw up TD Jakes.
I think they was talking earlier.
David said that Jen. He said, "I want the Breakfast Club switched out like 106 used to." Yeah. Bring in that new blood.
Throw the whole lineup away. Throw all of them. Everybody pack your shit and everybody get up out of here. It's time to go.
Throw the whole lineup away. I agree 100%. I think it would be dope to have three new hosts on there. I'm available. Breakfast.
They should now air that. I think that would give me to watch. If they come in and fire all of them while they in the midst of it, I think that would be wonderful. To tell them, hey, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with new hosts. but fire their ass on the spot live.
But I'm gonna need Birdman to come in and do the honors.
I was thinking that. I was thinking,
Finished or is we done?
He gonna say, no, you finished and you done. That's what he gonna be. He walked up, all right, I didn't had enough. Y'all finished and y'all done.
Right, yeah. Right.
Birdman got to do the firing. Oh, please let Birdman come on in.
Thank you, Keith Nelson. Thank you. Keith Nelson said, hello, Jen. How you doing? Beautiful. Congrats on the success of the movie. Yes, White People Money is on all VOD channels, all video on demand channels, and it's in theaters up to 4 weeks now. White People Money is still in theaters in select cities, and it's still on all video on demand channels. And if you pull it up on your TV, you'll see me. Thank you, Keith. Carla said us two would be perfect on the Breakfast Club. Hell yeah!
Pay me the money. I'll get on there.
Anybody at this point, switch them fuddy-duddies out. I'm sick of looking at them, seeing them. I'm sick of them. I think they should switch them out, make it fresh. You know what I mean? And Charlemagne the God's probably the catalyst to
everybody got thrown under the bus on this.
Scott Aaron, I want to read this. He says, that's what happened with Bill Cosby. The rumors have been out there for a long time, but Hannibal Buress got tired of him telling Black people to pull up their pants. So he dragged it back out for everyone to talk about. This is very reminiscent of that Buress versus Cosby. So this could be it. But I think I think it was a heinous crime, and I think that Charlemagne should be held responsible. I don't think he should be able to skate and just be like, "Hey, I just took her there. I didn't know what happened." You know.
He knew exactly what was going to happen. That's why he allowed it to happen. You can't. I don't see how you can walk away from that and not have any responsibility to the situation, or feel like you don't have any responsibility to the situation. You have every bit of responsibility, and that should weigh heavy on him. So now we got to, as they say, we got to apply pressure at this particular point and get him off of the Breakfast Club and on to whatever else he can do in silence, in your mouth.
It honestly would be nice not to see him or hear him for a while. I mean, I've never liked Charlemagne, so him going away for a little while, I think is merited. I think he should go away for a little while. I also find it interesting that David Dillon said the mess fist.
Yeah, I was laughing at that.
I also think that in his apology, his written apology to his corporate apology to Kwame Brown and Kwame Brown's family, I think it's fucked up that when a crime like that happens, that he didn't also apologize to the victims of those crimes, because when you bring up a crime like that, you're forgetting that it's not only two families lose, right? The family of the person that committed the crime and the family of the victims of the crime. And he completely omitted that from his corporate apology. And I'm like, if I was the relative of the victims of those crimes, I would completely be hurt that my family was being brought up like that again on that big a platform. So I think that he owes that family an apology too. Can you imagine being the sister, the mother, the brother, the father of the woman that was murdered? You know what I mean? So it's like, apologize to everyone and then get the fuck on, Charlemagne. I mean, his face is bad. Like Childish Gambino's Donald Glover, your face, it's bad. Wow. Like, we're tired of looking at it. Go away for a little while. But I don't like his apology. Was very smug, in my opinion. It was still condescending, and he was reading it off his Mac. I'm sure like the suits wrote it out for him. So I don't believe it. And I'm telling you, I am an advocate for allowing people to apologize when they cause harm. But yeah, I don't believe this one. I just don't believe it. So
you just said one last thing, because I'm reading the comments. Clifton said he should be suspended for the Brown remarks, fired for the young girl incident. I agree with that. I can definitely go with that.
Okay.
That's a really good thing. So yeah, start him out with the suspension, and then have baby Birdman come in and do the firing, and I think we all good.
I think I'm fair with that. Like, if I was the judge and they brought that to my table, I'm like, that's fair. He should be suspended for the Brown remarks and fired for the young girl incident. And he can go on and work somewhere else or hustle somewhere else. But I think because he used his platform as a weapon, that's the problem. Yep. He used his platform as a weapon against not one but two families. Okay, and then now the dirt is being kicked around about what happened to that 15-year-old. I'm cool with that. He should be suspended for the Brown.
He came out there. He came out there with that little pea shooter from Harlem Nights on Kwame Brown, where the one dude was just going, and then Kwame Brown came back with the bazooka and lit his ass up, and here we are. Here we are. So yeah, you got to feel this. You got to feel all of this.
Okay. So everyone, thank you. I love you all. Please subscribe. Share this video so you can argue about it with your friends. Catch me on White People Money, the comedy, available on all video on demand channels and in select theaters in your city for the next week. This has been On the Block with Jen with Janicia. And comedian Carlos Anthony out of Las Vegas. Please go to his Instagram page. And if you're in Vegas, come out to one of the shows. You're currently now hosting Extreme Comedy Club. When?
Yeah, every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. I host an open mic at the Extreme Comedy Club. And then I have, like you said, if you go to my Instagram, I'm posting up shows and skits and things. My schedule is filling up. So get on board, people. There it is right here. There it is, comedian Carlos. Follow that.
So follow us, subscribe. Y'all already know the deal. Hit the little bells wherever they at. Also share this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're watching this video after we were live, please leave the comments anyway. I respond to them when I have time. So if you want to converse with me about it, I will be around. But right now, Mama is out. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of On the Block with Jen. Take care, guys. Mwah. Thank you, Carlos.
No problem.
And I'm out, guys.